Hello again and good morning. With this, we are coming to our next session talking about the building blocks. We heard about in the morning session about data spaces, how to make data spaces interoperable, how to make them reality, and about the importance not to create silos, and the task, which is part of the 100 days program, to create a reference architecture, to create this interoperable data spaces. And a major player in this activity and in this task is the Chief Technology Officer of the FIWARE Foundation, Juanjo Hierro. And with this, Juanjo, handing over to you to Spain, from Berlin to Spain.
Thank you very much, Ulrich. It's a pleasure, as always, to be here. And yeah, let me share my screen so to start sharing my presentation. It'll just take a few seconds, and I hope you can see now. Someone
Yes.
can confirm?
Yes.
All right, very good. So this session today is going to be about bringing some technical highlights about the work we have been doing during this year. It has been a quite intensive year, and data spaces has been one of the topics that has centered our attention and a great part of our activities. So today we are going to a bit develop some concepts and comment on some of these highlights. FIWARE is all about making things happen, and this is precisely what we are committed to do for data spaces. We have been driving, as many of you know, standardization processes, and in particular connected to what is the definition of standard API enabling the exchange of digital twin data, and that we envision would be a key part of definition of what means data spaces, because participants need to know how to exchange data. And NGS-ILD actually has been an important part of the rolling plan on ICT standardization by the European Commission over the last 5 years, while we have been developing also our first years of creation as the FIWARE Foundation. And it was mentioned before in the opening session, but we are very proud to show that part of this effort that in particular got involved quite many people from the FIWARE community actually lead to adoption going beyond Europe. And last year, actually, it was adopted by the Bureau of Indian Standards, the BIS. In the meantime, also, and very important, and we envision having impact in data spaces, we really took off with the Smart Data Models program, where we are creating that basic vocabulary that will be needed in data spaces for the participants to actually understand each other and so on. More than 600 data models already today available, more than 14,000 terms. And as important as all that, the fact that we are creating a quite active community behind. More than 100 contributors, more than 80 organizations involved. In the meantime, as well, you know this very well, FIWARE has become a de facto standard in cities, not only in Europe, but beyond, and supporting OSC memes, which have been adopted as part of a very important initiative living in EU that we will have a chance to learn more about in the session that comes right after this one. All these are simply some perspectives, and Ulrich already developed about that in the opening, about what it means FIWARE, and FIWARE in the sense of an organization, a community, rather focus on making things happen. And this is what we aim to do regarding data spaces. Data spaces, some people may ask what it means, and why FIWARE, why it should be that relevant in the context of what we are doing in FIWARE. And a first answer to that question is that data spaces is actually the next natural step in the digitalization. FIWARE has been over these last 5 years and cornerstone in helping, first of all, as a first step, architecting smart solutions. FIWARE has been a framework how you could really develop those systems that combine IoT, big data technologies for the sake of creating those smart solutions that will support smart decisions and further automation of existing processes. We also have seen how FIWARE has become that glue that helps integrating systems, breaking information silos within organizations, developing an architecture based on system of systems approach. And that is how the whole concept of the smart cities or smart factories or smart farms has been developed based on FIWARE. Now, what comes next is all these smart organizations that we have been enabled to help in their digital transformation using FIWARE technologies to really get part of ecosystems where they will be sharing data with other organizations, and that way effectively creating data spaces. And again, here FIWARE should come as a natural step, because it is going to be in many cases all about those smart solutions being able to exchange digital twin data, to exchange information for enhancing their own processes, but also for creating new innovative services and supporting new processes by means of combining the actions of the different actors by means of sharing data. During the last year, we created that vision, the FIWARE vision for data spaces. We published the position paper for that, and that was published in June. We are about to deliver a new version, will be during this first quarter. And in general, and to describe this in a nutshell, we are very much intending to bring all those pieces or those elements that are going to be key in enabling smart solutions to really exchange data across data spaces. There might be data spaces for many other goals, for instance, exchanging video, media streams and stuff like that. But we will be very much focused on delivering all those pieces that are needed for enabling the exchange among smart solutions. Smart solutions we really envision would be based on digital twins and adopting the digital twin paradigm for implementing the support of processes. In that sense, and I think that is very genuine, FIWARE is bringing in its vision of data spaces, how to connect those two big terms, digital twins, data spaces, together. In our vision of data spaces, the participants will join knowing how the data they could offer will be consumed by others, without perhaps knowing a priori which others entities will be those. And as well, participants will be able to join and discover dynamically what others are offering, and understanding how they can consume that data. And for that is quite important that all participants speak the same language. And that means being able to construct the sentences the same way. And that is where definition of the common data exchange API becomes critical. It is about speaking and using the same vocabulary so that everyone understands each other. And that's why standard data models are going to be key from our perspective in really having data spaces take off. And we also need a common mechanism for identity, authentication, and authorization of the different parties, because it's about defining the rules that run the dialogue between the participants. So FIWARE for data spaces, meaning creating and bringing concrete technologies to cover all these elements to support speaking the same language. And besides that, bringing some common elements that will support the creation of an ecosystem, such as marketplace services, such as data publication platform technologies. Here in the last bullet, you see a bit the summary of elements and how NGSILD therefore will bring a substantial cornerstone ingredient in data spaces, how smart data models will help in creating the necessary interoperability, in creating an identity and authorization, authentication management framework, which we are evolving from supporting nowadays OpenID Connect to more advanced technologies like verifying credentials and presentations, marketplace services, and so on. But we believe, on the other hand, that we cannot do this just alone. We want to really engage with other initiatives, with experts in the field of data spaces in Europe and other organizations. And a first result of such collaboration was the white paper that was published at the very beginning of 2021, last year. Design Principles for Data Spaces was created under the umbrella of the OpenDay project, where we were involved. And this brought this picture. You may know about the different building blocks that we envision should be part in creation of any data spaces, with building blocks, a number of building blocks that are technical, supporting pillars for interoperability, trust, and data value creation, and also governance building blocks supporting the organization of those data spaces. As part natural step in this, and we are all very proud about that, we launched together with BDVA, GaiaX, and IDSA, the Data Space Business Alliance that has been introduced in the opening. So I will not develop an introduction about this, simply to comment, because it's very important that as part of the 100 days plan that has been defined, we are, and a number of working groups are being created towards defining the common data space technology framework that would be recommended to be used. And this is actually an endeavor and activity we are from FIWARE very much engaged with, and engaged with other members of the Data Space Business Alliance. In that context, we are defining a roadmap plan, that is going to be implementation driven and trying to deliver at every step a working framework that we will be evolving gradually to incorporate new features as we speak, and having at each stage a working solution that can be experimented, and going gradually from the current state where we will be using components that have been tested in already successfully in the I4Trust project towards new versions of the framework, incorporating IDS concepts, incorporating GaiaX concepts, and trying to bring together all the best ingredients coming out from the different initiatives. To highlight perhaps as a second step in this evolutionary approach, we will incorporate already the support of verifiable credentials presentations, self-sovereign identity concepts. This is a very hot topic nowadays, and therefore we wanted to bring this soon. It will already bring as part of it the integration with distributed ledger technologies. We envision in that respect the connection of data spaces that this technology framework will be able to support with the European blockchain service infrastructure when it's ready. Coming into and this second stage, we expect that will be available first quarter of this year, and experiments able to start creating first pilots. Coming right after, as a third stage, we will be incorporating their ingredients coming from IDS and the powerful concept of IDS connectors. Also the evolution of the policy definition language to support the advanced concepts defining IDS ODRL. And also the experience capture and the implementation of IDS connectors like the True Connector that was developed within the FIWARE community will be put in place here. And this should be a stage that will be able to bring a new version of the framework along this first half of the year. We will continue working on that and elements to be covered, and discussions groups that will be created to see how FIWARE marketplace concepts and TM forum standards together with GaiaX elements could be aligned and integrated together. And in the later stage, bringing the more advanced concepts connected to usage control that have been really being nicely developed during the last years by the IDSA. Altogether, bottom line, merging forces, trying to learn from each other, bringing the main concepts and trying to make them work, which is what is really important. In parallel to that, the Smart Data Models program continues, and we expect this will be taking a quite relevant role in definition and uptake of data spaces. Here you have some highlights of what has been the development of smart data models, and during the last year, more than 600 data models, as I mentioned before, more than 100 contributors, really a great thing. And not reinventing the wheel, really leveraging existing standards like those defined in SAREF within ETSI, or de facto standards like GTFS, OPC-UA, and so on. Very important, and we are very proud to announce the agreement that we have reached with the Open Connectivity Foundation, which is an organization worldwide involving major IoT players in the world, and this will automatically bring close to 300 new data models coming from them and for modeling devices, and this will be really great, and we will learn more about that in the sessions tomorrow. Actually, and just to finalize, I want to bring some details of what will be the sessions tomorrow, so that please don't miss them. We will cover all what I have been explaining, but with way more detail. First, from 11:30 to 1, the technical highlights and building blocks for data spaces. A number of presentations will be given where we will give much more details about this joint roadmap we are working on in the context of the Data Space Business Alliance, where we will bring a bit more details about what the I4Trust framework delivers today, how we plan to evolve it to support verified credentials presentations, support to OpDRL, and how, for instance, we intend to integrate a standard-based data publication frameworks for data spaces and the connection with the AI on-demand platform. A second session from 3 to 4 you should not miss about data spaces, where Alberto Abella will elaborate on all what has been mentioned before. Just to summarize, last slide, well, messages I would like you to convey and bring with you after this session. Vision and design principles are important, but we need to really make things happen. The market is demanding this now, and well, FIWARE has a good track record in this. We shall not reinvent the wheel, and actually we really are very much engaged in collaborating with the other organizations in this new data space business alliance that has been created, really, which brings the opportunity to join forces to deliver something robust, complete, and market ready. I4Trust being part of what compiles the contributions that FIWARE is bringing in that discussion. There are other elements like the true connector implementation, the data publication technologies that we are also bringing. All of that is already available on GitHub. You just need to check the FIWARE components for data space section in that space. And I think that's all. Thank you for joining the session. And with this, I bring this back to you, Ulrich.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much. Allow me 1 or 2 questions as we have 3 minutes left. We announced today that 12 experiments have been selected within I4Trust. More to come in the second call, which will start in May. Would these experiments have the potential to pave the way to create first data spaces based on the result of the works you mentioned in this architecture coherence working group, where you are a member together with the CTOs of the 3 other organizations? So how's this timing-wise? What's your expectation?
Thank you for the question, Ulrich. Yes, I think it's pretty exciting opportunity. As I was mentioned before, I think a first delivery of this work within the Data Space Business Alliance should be expected during the first quarter. That should suit very well with some of the experiments that will be starting. I'm not sure whether all of them will be willing to jump into this new version of the framework that we will offer, but perhaps some of them, and I think the interesting opportunity is that some of these experiments are all about the same domain, like agri-food, and therefore we can try to see how they can be combined and be using the same framework, and therefore starting to create, for example, a first data space about agri-food. Not it will be just one experiment, but several.
Yeah. Okay, a second question, but only a very short answer. You mentioned the European blockchain service infrastructure as a CEF building block and important part also of this architecture coherence framework. But you also said that it will come only during this year. So how can this be handled?
Well, very short question. One of the partnerships we built last year was with Alastria. Alastria is a blockchain network already in production. It's very much aligned with EPSI. They have this alignment in the roadmap, and actually they are very much contributing in the definition of EPSI. So we have, through this partnership, the ability to create a testing environment with them and really start testing the concepts and even bring into productions if EPSI delays too much in the actual arrival to the market.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. This brings us on the spot to 12 o'clock noon. Time to thank you for your first introduction to the technical building blocks. More to come on this tomorrow, but this was important to lay the foundation for the upcoming sessions, which will follow now, discussing about data spaces in different verticals. And with this, I'm handing over to the next session for another hour, and then we go into the break. But it's not just a break, you have also the opportunity to meet with others, go to the reception area, select a table, and meet with other people. Thank you very much.